Hi guys, it's Sophie, SB Reselling Co. So I've been doing a little bit of reading into the upcoming change in eBay, which doesn't come in till December this year. But I think it's a good idea to start kind of just familiarising ourselves a little bit. Now, at the moment, what eBay have put out about these changes are still incredibly vague. Because to be honest, I'm not quite sure if they really know where they're totally going with this either at the moment. So I'm going to run through just the overview with you at the moment. So essentially what this means, eBay want to ensure the safe shipping of sales and products throughout the EU and Northern Ireland. That's the ultimate goal. This applies to items that are in both the new and the second-hand market, and it's basically about providing safety information along with these products as well. Now that's a small overview. If we go just slightly deeper, we can now see the objectives. So this actually comes from an EU website, and I think basically what it's trying to do is implement law within eBay, basically. So all people who are now selling on eBay have to now comply with laws that are already out there in the EU if you weren't selling on eBay, essentially. So it's about making just a common ground for everybody, I guess. Now, one of the things that you will notice there at the bottom, it does also specify about recalls and products getting in the hands of consumers. So essentially, I think it's mainly about holding someone accountable as well. So as we look into the What's New tab, we can also see that a lot of this is about pure market surveillance. It's about how those recalled products, if they've already been sold, how they're being dealt with, how they're being recalled, and stopping items coming into the EU or Northern Ireland that are potentially dangerous. However, it's not just about that. I don't really want to get political, but a lot of this does follow Brexit as well. A lot of other businesses have been following these rules for a long time, and now it's slowly trickled down into online marketplaces because obviously a hell of a lot of people sell them, and there's probably a lot of laws being broken because eBay aren't enforcing these things. So I think if you look at the overview and then if you delve slightly deeper and actually go on the EU website, look at the objectives and the what's new, it's kind of just backing up the laws that are already there. And like I said, just making sure everyone is operating under that same hymn sheet. Now, just to give you a bit of positivity, I'm going to put up a little picture here of all the items that are excluded from the General Product Safety Regulation, the GPSR. Now, a lot of these are already what we're selling on eBay. There's a hell of a lot of people that already sell these items and actually they're excluded from it. The one at the bottom here, products that need to be repaired, recycled, things like that before use. This could be a bit of an issue if you're selling things like spares and repairs. I sell some spares and repairs. It could be in the future that I end up, turning off global shipping for those things. But I'm certainly not going to think too much on that right now, because like I say, what eBay have said is quite vague at the moment. I think they've got a hell of a lot to work through first. I wouldn't be surprised if, even though this change is coming in December, that the change still takes longer to implement than that, because as we go further in this video, you'll be able to see why. However, that one at the bottom could be the only thing that is a bit of an iffy one. So let's move on to what else you need to know. Now, as I was saying, this is where things get a little bit sticky, because you may not be able to get all of this information. For example, you may not be able to get the manuals. A lot of things that we sell, they may be missing the manuals. Some things, if they're really old, they may not have a CE marking on them. You may not be able to get the information in the first point there on the picture either. So this is where eBay are a little bit vague, and there's going to have to be a lot of work that goes behind this, because whilst a lot of things that we sell are excluded from the product safety regulation, getting a lot of this information could prove difficult. And what do you do if you can't get a manual? Then I'm guessing maybe you can't sell it. Is it really going to be that clear cut? Is it just going to be, well, you haven't got that, so you can't sell it there? We don't know yet. We really don't know. Which is why I don't think there's a hell of a lot of point worrying too much about it at the moment, because this just shows how much work there is to go in there and how vague it actually is. Like I've said, you know, this is purely coming in line with other businesses and making eBay follow EU laws. That's all it is, basically. But how they're going to do that for secondhand goods, which are very often obviously sold on eBay, not quite sure. New goods, fine. Secondhand, it's going to be a lot of work. They're certainly not going to want to lose their secondhand market that they've got there. So I think there's going to be a lot of ironing out to go yet. Now, the other stumbling block is having a responsible person. When you're going to be shipping to the EU now, you need to have a responsible person, and it comes in the shape of these forms. Now, as far as I'm concerned, the importer is eBay. So I think they will help act as a responsible person for you, because they're not going to want to lose their global shipping program. Because if they make this really difficult, everyone is just going to turn off global shipping and ship to the UK only. I mean, I only ever get a handful of global shipping sales anyway. I mean, I had one today and one last week. But actually, that's quite good for me. I can go weeks, possibly months, without a global shipping sale. So I think they're going to want to pull the stops out to keep their global shipping market and keep the business sellers there as well. Now, the final point on that one, a fulfillment centre. Now, I know that this is just anecdotal experience. Now, I know that when I tried drop shipping once, if I wanted to ship to the EU, I had to have something called an EORI number, which I don't think we're necessarily going to need with eBay. Because I think they will have their own EORI number anyway, which probably comes under your use as well by selling with them, I'm guessing. Like I say, this is all very vague. But otherwise, you need an EORI number, and that allows you to sell into the EU, and you would have to have a contact in that country who is able to handle the item there for you and be able to store it there. So obviously that, once Brexit came in, that cut off a lot of global sales for drop shipping, because people didn't have a contact in like every country. They don't have a friend in every country. You can be like, oh yeah, I'll just take that. Yeah, send it, you know, here, I'll take that parcel and make sure it gets there. Who's going to do that? So I think that possibly eBay will act like your fulfillment centre as well. And here's another thing showing you that they haven't quite worked it out yet, because they don't know who is actually going to be your responsible person yet. They know that if they, you know, they've got to go down this line, they know the law, they know the rules, so they have to, you know, play by EU's rules. They know if they don't find you a responsible person, or if they can't be a responsible person, then the global shipping program ends for the UK, basically. They're not going to want to let that happen. So they're currently looking at an external provider for that as well. So that just shows you they're not really sure yet how they're going to manage this. So guys, there's my take on the product safety regulation that will be coming in December. Let me know what you think. Let me know down in the comments whether this was helpful for you, whether it helped you understand. And I just want to give a very quick shout out to my members, which is Carly and Claire. Thanks so much for joining, and I'll put a link to the membership in the description as well. So guys, I will catch you all in the next video. See you soon. Bye.